Hey everyone, Mike here, Analog Attack. It's me again, back again. We're going to be talking about more Japanese hardcore today. I can never, it's one of my favorite things to talk about. So we've done a lot of albums, like I think 5 episodes. We've done the singles episode. Today it's turn for the compact disc. And to help me out with this mammoth task, Alex is here. Thanks for coming on, Alex. It's good to see you.
Hey Mike, thanks for inviting me.
It's going to be a good time. We haven't compared picks. We did a little bit, but I've changed mine since then. We've got 12 each, so we're going to have 6 rounds of 2. This is all stuff that only came out on CD. Obviously, I think though, Alex, you had a couple that came out on cassette too, right? I think.
I have, yes, I will have a bonus round.
Okay.
Where there is technically a cassette version, but otherwise all CD only picks.
Yeah, it's like we were saying before the show, I had to really double check this morning just to make sure that none of this stuff has ever been released on vinyl. Yeah, interesting. We were talking about this actually before the show. Alex brought up the CD. I mean, it's still the most popular format in Japan. We were talking about the concept of the rare CD, which is kind of an alien concept maybe outside of Japan. I mean, it kind of boils down to space, Japanese housing, tends not to be the most spacious. And so I think when the CD was invented, I think when the CD first came out in Japan, thousands of people immediately threw away their record collections. Just put them out on the street and started replacing them with CDs. So CDs are a big deal in Japan. I think for most Japanese punks, they prefer the CD format as well. So it makes sense that there's tons of great Japanese punk stuff that's
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering if it's mostly a space thing, like you just said, or do they actually like the CD, or is it kind of well, it's a trade-off a bit. I've always been curious about that, particularly in the punk context.
I think people do love the format. I think there used to be that stereotype of the Japanese taking something and making it smaller and more efficient. So I think in Japan, the CD was it was a very welcome thing. Yeah, and we had the best CD players here. We had all the technology and stuff on the ground, all that stuff. So all right, let's get down to business. I'm gonna do my first round of 2. Lip cream was a hot topic last week. By the time this video goes out, it might not be a hot topic anymore, but the lip cream reissues, everyone's talking about those. So, I thought I'd introduce a couple of lip cream related bands. Now, Japanese hardcore maniacs will be familiar with my first 2 picks, and opinions may vary on these. But, there might be a lot of people watching or, getting into Japanese punk recently who know lip cream but might have not heard of these 2 bands. So my first pick is going to be Ogreish Organism and Nisemono no Jikan, or Fake Time, from 2004. Came out on Oni, this is Pill from Lip Cream. This is his project. He basically is the Ogreish Organism. They did 3 albums, a CD EP, and 1 more 7-inch, I think. But yeah, I remember when this came out, not this one, but the first album when that came out. And I remember getting it. That was on Selfish Records. And yeah, I was kind of disappointed. Wasn't as good as Lip Cream. Kind of a different approach. On that first album, he had both Chelsea from Deathside and Zigyaku, who was still in Bastard at that time, I think. And so we were like, man, this is going to be an incredible album. And it was not that great. I mean, I really come around to it in recent years. But I think this one, it's experimental. There's piano and violin, on it, and some kind of jazzy, almost drum solos and stuff. But really, this is not about guitars. Zigyaku, who was in Judgment at this point, plays guitar on this. But, the riffs are kind of simple on this. it's really all about like Pill's drums, which are always mixed like super loud, and he's doing a lot of stuff that, you know, Lip Cream, the drumming in Lip Cream was amazing, but here he really kind of lets loose, does some kind of jazzy stuff, and then like he sings, and you know, he's not a great singer. There's no melodies. He just kind of like growls at you in this kind of monotonous way and in the same style in every single song. And that can get a little taxing. Or I've kind of come around to sort of it's the repetition works in this. It's really bulldozing, just like it's the same thing like over and over and over again. It's like 17 songs. So yeah, I've kind of come around to this band in recent years. I think it's good stuff. So if you're really curious about like Lip Cream side projects, check out Ogreish Organism. Yeah, 3 albums, like I said. And then
Yeah, I haven't heard that one, but
okay,
I have the one that's like it has the guy's face on the cover.
that's the first one. That's the first album. So that's the one. If you see behind me, that's where I took the thumbnail artwork from the first album. Oh, you're talking about the one with the that's Fourth Pill. That's like a CD EP, and like yes,
Yeah.
that was one of those ones that I had to check because that came out on a 7-inch as well with only 2 songs. So yeah,
That one's kind of a more like traditional like Chelsea band, right? Japanese hardcore.
yes,
But,
I think Chelsea had a bit more control on that one. So there's definitely, I think if I remember right, there's one song it says arranged by Chelsea. So on that song, Chelsea gets to really do his thing on that one. But you know, on this record, he's not on it at all. So, but yeah, you're right. That I think Chelsea was given a bit more free reign than on any of the other records to kind of, you know, let loose a little bit. Yeah, that one's great actually. But yeah, it was a 7-inch too, so I didn't pick that one. And the other band, this is a band I talked about this before. As a band that when I moved to Japan, it was a band that kind of just started up, and I got to see them live, and they were amazing live. I guess if you haven't seen this band live, it doesn't make sense, you know. And they have a saxophone player, which is always a tough sell. It's the Colored Rice Men. See Your Back. It's their last album. Came out in 2007 on Bloodsucker. Bloodsucker's going to get mentioned a lot today. Fair warning to everyone. Bloodsucker put out a lot of great stuff. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's Minoru on bass again from Lip Cream, and his bass tone is as ferocious in Colored Rice Men as it was in Lip Cream. Butcher from Alto is the vocalist, and his vocal style is exactly the same as it was in like late period Alto. It's kind of speedy hardcore, which doesn't really sound like any other Japanese band before or after. Kind of unique sounding band, a great guitar player, like lots of kind of rock licks. But I think the deal breaker for a lot of people is sort of the bleating like saxophone, which is on every song. So if you can get past the saxophone, you got some great Japanese hardcore that is really a little bit experimental, but also like pretty fast, a little bit like a US hardcore influenced as well. I want to say like late period Uto was. I know I'm a big fan of the Colored Rice Men, and they were amazing live. One of the best bands, one of the best Japanese bands that I saw back in the early 2000s.
yeah, I have to confess I've never checked them out
Oh,
because
okay.
I heard about the sax and it kind of did scare me away a little bit,
Yep,
but
yep.
I think I'm kind of curious now, so I'll
Yeah,
pick
I
it
mean
up.
this isn't my favorite album by them. My favorite is called New Animal Life. That one came out on vinyl as well, so I didn't pick that one today, obviously. But yeah. I mean, yeah, the saxophone, it's tough. I get it, but you know, you remember Nightmare from Osaka? They had a period where they got a sax player in. I can tell you that was 100% because of Colored Rice Men, you know, because Nightmare were were a band that were hugely influenced by Lip Cream. This ex-Lip Cream band gets together with a sax player, and then after a half a year or so, Nightmare have brought in a sax player, but you know, which people also hate the Nightmare era with sax too. So, all right, Alex, what's your first two? What you got?
All right, we are starting off strong with this band, Assault. Yes, if there is one word that I'm going to use to describe this band, it's explosive. This is a really intense album. Hard as nails, I think, but under the surface, there's kind of like this melodic sense. It's actually very melodic in a way. Um, I was trying to think of how do I describe this band, and it occurred to me it's kind of like I hear it. It's like if Husker Du was a blistering Japanese thrash band
Nice.
in a way.
Yeah.
Um, for context, I mean, this is what the second album looks like, right? And that's the first. And does that remind you of anything?
Yeah. Man,
Yeah. So like, I mean, maybe that's a coincidence, but maybe not. I don't know. But the guitarist Osamu, he's just an incredible guitar player. He uses a lot of like open chords, chords you don't usually hear in the context of hardcore. It's got this like kind of dark melodic sense. And I think if I'm not mistaken, he filled in after Chelsea passed away, and he was in Paintbox for a little bit.
That's right. They did one last tour, and he filled in for Chelsea, and that they are very big shoes to fill, and he did an incredible job. I know a few friends who only saw Paintbox with him playing, and they were like, "Man, I can't even imagine what it would be like to have seen them with Chelsea." But yeah, he is an amazing guitar player. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And the vocalist on this is Satoru, who is Record Boy.
That's right.
Yeah, he has a record store in Konji, and if you're ever in that area of Tokyo, you go to Record Boy, and then just around the corner, you go to Record Shop Base, two amazing punk stores. But yeah, I mean, I saw Assault live they came here to the US in 2003, and that was with DSB, actually. And, everybody always talks about how DSB was like one of the best bands they ever saw, and I thought they were great, don't get me wrong, but I thought Assault was really they were the band that blew me away on that.
Nice.
Yeah, totally amazing live band as well.
Probably less showy in the live performance, maybe. DSP were very all over the place,
Yeah, I just remember Osamu, he looked like kind of statuesque almost. He just had this like really cool looking stance with these like sleeveless huge muscles, and he was just like going on the guitar. I don't know, he looked cool. I just remember that.
That's interesting. Yeah, I always get confused because there's like with the lineup, there's other stuff with a different vocalist, right? I think the vocalist of Gates and Church of Misery was in the band.
Yeah. So he's on the second CD.
Okay.
Which there is an LP version of that.
Okay.
I think that's maybe not as well received as this one, although I think it's really good. I liked it a lot too. But yeah, he was the vocalist when I saw them here in the States.
Okay.
But yeah, he did a great job, I thought.
He's a good frontman, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Wow. Nice. That's a great pick.
First pick. And then my second one is a band that I feel is somewhat underrated. We've got Argue Damnation.
Interesting. Local band. They were from Osaka, I believe.
Yes. So this is Nasty Nation, Neglect Nature. It came out on MCR in 2001. And I was doing a bit of research. I think they were originally from Kobe, and then they ended up in Osaka at some point.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, but if people haven't heard them, it's kind of like it's 90s crustcore. It's dual vocal crust. So like I guess the starting point of that is kind of like Extreme Noise Terror, Disrupt. They're not quite as heavy as those bands. They're kind of a little more scrappy, bit more of like a freewheeling thing going on, like super desperate vocals. They actually sound a lot like CFDL to me. I kind of think of those bands in the same category a little bit.
Right.
But just very unhinged. This one is a little different because it's interesting. There's like octave chord melodies all over like every single song. It's almost like they were listening to Fugazi or like Discord bands or something.
Wow.
And yeah, I was listening today, and there's a part that reminds me, like, it sounds like it's taken straight from a Heroin song, you know, the Gravity Records
Wow.
band.
Wow.
So I think they were listening to that kind of stuff. So I don't know,
Wow.
you could call it like emotional crust, I guess. It's better than it sounds. Like, I think this is a great little EP. It's
Wow.
the last one they put out, and yeah, just underrated. Like, I know they toured Europe, and they were on like a million different compilations, but I feel like people don't really talk about them too much. Maybe because they like toured, there was no mystique or something. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right. You know, kind of a band from this area that never kind of gets talked about when people talk about like Osaka Crust of the era, right? Nobody ever mentions Argue Damnation in that conversation. So maybe because they're not absolutely like Crusher, a bit different, right? I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
great band.
All right, nice. I think I've seen them a couple of times when I first moved here. I think so. Alex was telling me that he'd kind of organized his rounds into kind of categories, and I hadn't, and so I kind of rearranged my stuff into kind of categories, and it kind of works. So Nagoya City. There's my second category, and I've got two obviously, but I'm gonna just change the order just to kind of fit in with that pick. MCR. There you go. Zilemma, which I assume is like dilemma with the Z put on the front. Kill the loop, or kill the laziness of organized punks is what the loop is in the title of this. Interesting band. I had this up to talk about after my first pick, but yeah, this isn't a Crust band, but they do have elements of that kind of Crust sound in there a bit, and they have one singer, but the way they recorded the vocals, it kind of sounds like two singers. Like each line kind of almost overlaps with the last one. The next line overlaps with the one before it. I know they're definitely like melody wise, they've definitely been influenced by a Reality Crisis, like the Nagoya Crust band. There's definitely a Reality Crisis influence on this record. But there's also like metallic hardcore in here as well. And the singer was in this band called Mental Disease, who were also like a dual vocal band. This guy and Ikumi, who she's been living in Osaka for years, but she guests on one of the tracks on here. So that kind of goes back to like the Mental Disease dual vocal thing. And also, I swear you can hear it. There's a little bit of that, like, okay, we kind of want to be like a Visual K kind of band. There's that kind of very like professional metal thing lurking in the darkness a little bit. And then apparently, like after this, they totally went that direction. And there's a couple of other bands, their names are slipping right now, who totally went in that direction too. The Vanishing, I think, is one of the bands. I don't know if you heard of them, but like punks totally playing like Visual K. Oh, here we go. Like Nagoya punks like playing like Visual K. And I think from what I hear, Zilemma kind of went in that direction.
Yeah, this
There
one,
you go.
right?
There you go. Yeah, there's a bit of that in here, and apparently they went full on that way after that. What I was going to say, because I was going to show this one first, talking about sort of Japanese, like 80s metallic hardcore, Nagoya. It's got to be Demolition. The Road is Free. Kind of a frightening band. Not so much these days, but definitely a lot of violence. Just taking from 80s, especially I want to say like Rapes and bands like that. They're really taking a lot from that gruff metallic 80s Japanese metallic hardcore, but like speeding up. This is like a fast band. Definitely like it's like almost like thrash metal. thrash metal take on 80s Japanese metallic hardcore. You know, they covered Judas Priest on the next album, the album after that. According to Discogs, this is their first album, but it really isn't. It's like a mini album. It's called Road is Free. This is the first album I bought by them, and it's still my favorite. At least one of their records was released on vinyl outside of Japan on Black Water, I think. Maybe the third or the second album. This is actually a reissue with a different cover. It came out in 2000s originally, but this is like a 2012, 2014 reissue with different artwork. Again, MCR. There you go. Or distributed. Dual records distributed by MCR Records. But yeah, interesting band. Kind of a scary band. They've got a new album out, which came out a couple of weeks ago. I haven't checked that out, but good band to see live. But like, don't stand too close to the singer, or you might get hit with a microphone stand when you don't want to be. But good stuff if you're into like 80s Japanese metallic hardcore. That's my Nagoya round. Although I do have at least one more Nagoya band later.
Cool. I actually don't have either of those CDs, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I think if you're going to get a Zilemma CD, that's probably the one to get. From what I hear, I don't have the evidence. I haven't heard the ones after this, but this is what I hear.
Nice.
More in the style of The Vanishing. All right, Alex, what's your second pick, second round?
All right, this round I have two Tokyo bands, very different from each other. First one is, you can't really read the type on here, but this is Padlock.
All right, there it is.
And this is their Reason to Fight.
Nice.
CD EP. This is on Bloodsucker, 2004. And, you know, they're a Bloodsucker band, and I think this is a label that has kind of a sound to it a little bit. It's very, I would say traditional Japanese hardcore, like Burning Spirits kind of sound. It's very masculine, as these bands tend to be, right?
Yes.
It's like the songs are kind of just built around these like very smooth riffs. You've got the guitar leads and solos, so there's a bit of a metal influence in that sense. You know, it's stuff like Deathside, Tetsu RA, Bastard. It's kind of what this sounds like. If something makes it a little more distinctive, it's the vocals on here. The vocalist in this band is crazy, just incredibly painful throat shredding vocals. He on this one in particular, he actually starts to almost approach like grindcore territory, to my ears at least. But he sounds like, you know, like a squawking bird or something like that. You know what I mean? Like the Birdman vocals. There's a bit of that. Might turn off some people, but I think it sounds really cool over this like traditional Japanese hardcore.
You get that sometimes. It sounds like they're trying just a little bit too hard. It's like there's so much energy with these bands, you know, and it's like just bursting to come out, and it always comes out on the live shows. I think there's so much like inner frustration and pent up energy in these Japanese bands that when they play live, it's the time to let that all out. The daily stress of like living in, you know, Japanese daily life. The live show is when that all kind of comes out, and it really does come out. I know.
Yeah, these guys, they have 3 CDs, and they were a CD-only band, actually, just until last year, 2025.
Right. Yep.
They put out a 7-inch, a bit of a comeback release, I guess.
Yeah. Break the record.
Yeah, it was good. The vocals are not quite as crazy as they used to be.
Okay. He's getting old.
Which is, I think, normal after 20 years or so. So yeah.
Yeah, I saw them live a few times, and just like, man, like, yeah, just the energy. Like I said, the energy levels of these bands is just incredible to witness. Honestly, amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my next pick, like I said, this is also Tokyo band. I have a feeling you might not be into this, Mike, but
Okay.
we'll see what you
Why
think.
not?
They might be a little polarizing.
Okay.
I'm talking about, well, you can't tell what it is, but this is Struggle for Pride.
Okay. Interesting.
You know these guys?
Yeah, I've seen them a few times. I think when I saw them, it was just noise almost.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, so this is their first CD from 2006. It's called You Bark, We Bite.
Okay.
And, I mean, like, Confused, Guy, Disclose is one thing in terms of like noisy hardcore, sizzling guitar distortion. But if you take that really like to the next level, you get Struggle for Pride. It's almost like it's kind of like closer to something like Merzbow or like
Right.
noise music. I
Right.
mean, it's really insane. It sounds like, I don't know, like a jet engine or like television static or like I was thinking, um, the sound of high pressure steam when it's coming from a pipe, just like that intense hissing noise.
Mm.
Like that's basically what this sounds like. It barely qualifies as music, and I think a lot of people, look at something like this and think it's kind of lazy or there's not a lot of songwriting going on or something like that. But I don't know. I really dig this. There's something cathartic about
Mm.
listening to it, and yeah, just super noisy. They
Yeah.
do an Abraham Cross cover on here, and I think that band was a big influence on them actually. Um, but they seem kind of weird. Like they charted their own path. You know what I mean? They don't look punk at all,
Yes, I was going to mention
right?
that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the name Struggle for Pride, like I thought they were going to be kind of like New York hardcore or something like that.
Right. Right.
Not like the most insane
Mm.
noise punk you've ever heard. And then like later releases, they start doing that thing where there's like electronic or like
Right.
DJ elements to it,
Right.
which Abraham Cross also kind of messed with a little bit,
Right.
and Exit Hippies and bands like that. That's like something I don't fully understand, like how that happened or why it happens, but it
Mhm.
is kind of the thing.
Mm.
And Struggle for Pride, yeah, kind of went down that path too.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, they definitely were into like skateboarding and graffiti culture and hip hop and like techno and stuff too. There was definitely like some kind of crossover between like like underground techno scene and that particular the Tokyo uh scene of all the bands that you
Yeah,
just
it's
mentioned.
funny, like this CD, it has a lot of features. So, this I mean, that's something you see more in like hip hop or something.
Mm.
It'll be like featuring so and so or like
Right,
featuring DJ so
right.
and so, but then you listen and it's just like static. So I'm not sure I'm not sure what their contributions were, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a great pick actually. I'm gonna try and I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and listen to that band. I remember seeing them live. Really intense, very intimidating frontman too. Big guy. Um, mm, That's a great pick. That's kind of reminded me of certain things from that time period. Nice. All right. My next round is Shizuoka and Bloodsucker. Two bands from Shizuoka Prefecture, both on Bloodsucker, both completely different styles. I love old school Shizuoka hardcore. Innocence, The Rustler, So What, Zone. Um, I've seen this band's name on flyers for years, especially like in Shizuoka area, like gigs, playing with Warhead when they're on tour, with other Shizuoka bands. Um, there's a couple of these bands actually that I've seen on flyers that I've not checked out. One of them is Bound. There's another band called The Roys, which is an interesting name. And then this band, which, 902, which you pronounce Hyaku Hyakuni. Q Hyakuni is 902, which can mean either 902, or if you look at the kanji, it can also mean like to fools or for idiots or something like that. So there's a double meaning in this name. But man, for some reason I decided to check this band out, I was just assuming that it was going to be old school Shizuoka hardcore, and I was not disappointed. Man, this band is ferocious. It's up there with all the old school greats. I can't recommend this band enough. The singer sounds like the singer of Innocence, if you've heard the Innocence, but there's the Shizuoka hardcore in there, but there's also like a bit of like crude in there, although the guitar solos aren't as flashy. Unbelievable. I was completely blown away by this band. They have another CD too, which is at the top of my wish list on Disc Union right now. This CD is on Bloodsucker 2008. It's called Okasereru Sen no Bang, which means violated brainwashing. I can't recommend this band enough if you're into like old school, like Shizuoka hardcore. Amazing stuff. And then another band that I used to go and see a lot back in the early 2000s. They're from Iwata City in Shizuoka, which is where Zone are from, who I've just mentioned. Very interesting band. It's the Littlemirrors. I think this is their first album. It's called Tokyo Vibrate +6, which is kind of a weird title. I am going to struggle to describe this band. I've been thinking about it, and I'm still not quite sure. They're a punk rock band. They kind of have a bit of a glammy kind of feel to them. Maybe a bit of like first wave Japanese punk, like the Star Club, maybe like super melodic punk band with amazing songwriting. But really the thing that makes this band stand out is the singer, and that's him on the front. It was basically his band. I think he wrote all the songs, did all the design work, always had his own face on the cover of all the albums. He actually passed away in the last 4 or 5 years, which is very sad. His name's Sakata. He's an amazing singer, has his voice that kind of soars over the music. The only thing I compare him to, this band and his vocals, which, if you haven't heard the other band, it's a bit obscure, is the Rotary Beginners. If you've heard the Rotary Beginners, like that guy's singing style is kind of similar to Sakata's singing style. It's almost like if the only ones were like a Japanese punk band or something. It's kind of very glammy and glamorous and kind of adventurous and exciting. And I know they were an amazing band. Then they kind of broke up, and then he formed this other band called Vector, who, kind of same kind of thing, but not quite as good, but still great. But yeah, the Littlemirrors, I think a lot of people are probably not familiar with the Littlemirrors, but man, great like Japanese punk. Highly recommended. Great stuff. There you go. Bloodsucker Records, 2008. Familiar, Alex? Have you heard of Littlemirrors or Vector?
No, I
Cool.
never heard of them.
Cool, nice. That's good. Yeah, check them out.
Yeah, in 902, I have their comeback CD, but I have not heard the one that you showed.
Okay, it didn't look too enthusiastic. I haven't heard that one, so I can't compare it to this one.
It's not bad.
Okay. I'm guessing then it's not as good as this one. I'm guessing.
I'm guessing probably not, but it's I think it's also on Bloodsucker, if I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're saying it stands up with the Shizuoka classics, I'm very curious to hear it.
I mean, to me, it did. Maybe I had low expectations, and then I got it. It's like, man, but I know. Yeah, I think I can imagine them being an amazing live band. So you can just tell. And I love the Innocence. I love the vocalist of the Innocence, and the vocalist does kind of sound like that guy. So that was another reason why I kind of like this band too. But yeah, Shizuoka Prefecture. So much good stuff from Shizuoka.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, what's your round 3, right? Round 3.
All right. So we've actually got a live album here.
Okay.
And talking about classic Japanese hardcore.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is the Ghoul Mobs live album, 1985 at Loft, Shinjuku Loft. So obviously these are like foundational Japanese hardcore bands. If you've never heard them, I would say they kind of sound like Gizm a little bit, like, in that post-Gizm wave. Especially in the vocals. More straightforward than Gizm. They don't have neither of these bands do the weird sound collages or
Right.
industrial. It's kind of a bit more of a like street punk, oi vibe at times,
Yeah.
mixed with that just basic, like I guess vaguely metallic in a way, but not as much as Gizm. I picked this for two reasons.
Mm-mm.
One is because live Japanese hardcore albums are usually really, really poor quality.
Right.
There's archival releases from like the Comes and the Clay and like various other bands that just sound like, you can barely make out what's even happening.
Mm-mm.
And they're like these expensive double CDs, and it's like maybe you listen to them once and then file them away. Um, I guess the Comes Ballroom of the Living Dead
Yes,
does
I
sound,
was going to
yeah,
say that one is amazing. But the
that
one,
one is good.
the one that
Yes.
you're talking about though, that double CD, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So, there's a lot of that, and then a lot of bonus tracks for bands that just sound really bad. This is like a soundboard recording. It's
oh,
straight from the
okay,
board. So it sounds nice and clear. You can hear everything.
wow.
It's a good performance. And, both of these bands don't have a lot of reissues in general.
Mm.
Like we were talking about before we started recording, the Mob CD is like, if you can even find it, it's probably like $100, $200, something like
Right.
that. Impossible to find. The Ghoul stuff's only been on CD one time.
Yeah.
Maybe it was repressed actually, but also not that easy to find.
This stuff is
Mm.
mostly on SS recordings, right? The stuff we're
Oh,
talking.
so this is on it's on Hold Up, although it says MCR on here, so I think MCR put this out.
Or it's the same with that thing with the Demolition thing. They probably, you know what? This is a funny thing. There's no independent distributors in Japan, so MCR probably just like got all the CDs and then like sent them.
Yeah,
They
right,
probably distributed it, I think, or they might put it out. I'm not sure, but
right,
definitely they have their name on a lot of CDs where they're just like distribution.
yeah. But
Yeah.
this is a nice one. You can see it's got kind of like the 7-inch size packaging, and
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
it's got like this giant Obi strip.
The
If you're into Obi strips,
king of Obies.
yeah, this is a good one. If you were hesitating because uh, these don't usually sound that great, rest assured this one has great sound. It's a good listen.
That's an interesting one. I think, you know what? I think a lot of people outside of Japan hesitated on that Ballroom of the Living Dead because they were thinking, oh, this is probably going to be another horrible, like live recording. And then people started talking about it, and then it was too late. It sold out. But yeah, but you're right. The CDs you talked about, they're not good quality at all. But yeah, the
Yeah, and
come,
there's
yeah.
there's a lot of those. I know I'm forgetting some of them, but
Mm,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, my next pick, I'm actually going to cheat a bit, and because I have two by the same band, but
Okay, that's okay.
the band is Final Bombs.
Oh, come on, let's have it.
Okay,
Interesting.
so I think this band is also probably pretty polarizing, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
So this is Bear Bomb's band, who was in Ghoul, although he's not on the Ghoul live recording.
right.
I thought he was, but then I checked the credits.
Okay, okay,
He had already left by then, but
okay.
yes. So Bear Bomb went on to do Last Bomb. Yeah, great band.
Yes,
And after
yeah,
that, he went to Final Bombs,
yes.
who they're still around to this day, I
Yep,
believe.
yep. They play out sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah, they play live all the time, I think.
yeah.
Um, what do they sound like? It's Discharge Worship, however, a very specific period of discharge. I'm talking about 83 to 84, like Pooch era.
Price of Silence
Yeah, yeah.
era. Yeah,
Price of
warning,
Silence,
warning.
Warning, MRC.
I
Um,
love.
yeah. I mean, it basically is kind of amazing. It sounds exactly like that.
Yeah,
It's like mid-tempo, um, kind of groovy. They have a couple of faster songs, but I mean, especially the vocals. He is trying to sound exactly like Cal
yeah.
circa 1984. So you know, it's kind of that nasally, like cheerleader chant kind of delivery. I think that turns off some people, but I mean, if you know what he's going for, if you know he's trying to sound like Cal, it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know, I think it's kind of cool in a way.
They have, but the thing is, I'm one of those people, but I'm gonna say they have such amazing riffs, and the mid-tempo grooves are some of the best ever, because I love that, like, mid-tempo, like Bombardment from France have a couple of songs like that in that mid-paced, era of dish, which I absolutely love. But like you said, for me, the vocals are a little tough for me. Um,
Yeah, I feel like a couple years ago there was a trend where a lot of bands were doing that kind of sound.
it's a band
And
Decade from Canada.
yeah, yeah, bands like that.
This close from Scotland.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So, you know, that was a thing for a while. I don't know if it's still if those bands are still around or what, but
I mean, it's like everything in D beats being done. So where what else hasn't been done? Oh, Price of Silence era,
yeah,
Discharge. There's a thing we could sort of do something with. But these
yeah,
guys are
definitely.
legit though. Final Bombs are legit.
Yeah. And this is their one from 2004. This is a EP. This is on Overthrow, actually. Great
Okay.
label.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't think you can see it, but the Obi strip has a little blurb from Kawakami, actually. He is credited as D-Beat Master Kawakami, and I
Amazing.
translated what it
Mm,
says, you know, just through my app on the phone,
mm,
and
mm, mm.
he says, um, Final Bombs is the one and only prophet of late 80s D-Beat.
There you go.
So,
Legit.
yes, so listen to Kawakami and check out Final Bombs.
Right, when did that God, that compilation album come out that they're on? That's like 86 or something, right? 87 with like Death Side, Final Bombs, Ghoul.
Which comp is that? I
I
can't
can't believe
recall.
I'm forgetting the name. It's one of my favorite like Japanese comps of all time. It's just four bands. It's black and white cover. It's got band pictures of each band. Final Bombs are on that. Um I can't say let us know in the comments because there's no one there. Well, I'll put it in the comments in the video description. They're on that, so they've been doing this for a long time. This style. Um, yeah, that's gonna bug me now. But let's carry on. That's a great pick. I think a lot of people
Yeah,
love.
this is on Selfish Records, so
Yes,
it's kind of a yeah, kind of later era Selfish.
yeah, yeah. All right, my next round is A bands. This is how like tenuous we're getting now. Two bands beginning with A. One from Nagoya, one from Hiroshima. Um, Again, this is another band I saw live before buying any of their albums. They were always an amazing live band, so I'm going to show that one first. I'm talking about Asphalt, Midnight Pain, which is the cover and title are a total pastiche of Gastunk's Midnight Rain, 12-inch. We're talking about vocalists that kind of like super hoarse, like Japanese. I mean, this guy, his name's Jello. To me, he sounds like his voice is about to just explode at times. It's like so hoarse all the way through. It's incredible. Um, the first song is one of those songs that when you hear it, you just know. And in fact, every time I saw them, they did play it first. It's one of those like slow to mid-pace songs where maybe the guitarist, the bass player, and the drummer are on stage for a bit, and then after about a minute or so, the singer, like the singer comes out, and like doing all this and like total performance. That song was written for that. You can totally tell. It's like Tetsuare's songs, like they have at the beginning of their records. It's totally written for that entrance at the beginning of the show. It's an amazing song. And the rest of the record is like super fast, like traditional Japanese hardcore. The vocalist was like a microphone stand master. It was like watching like Rod Stewart or something. He would like, put the base of the mic stand on his like left foot and like lift it up and like twirl it around above his head, and like never saw him like screw up once. Amazing performer. I remember like I saw him in Hiroshima and I was kind of blown away. But yeah, great band. They have some other kind of CDs, a couple of 7-inches too. Hiroshima, Asphalt, Midnight Pain, Bloodsucker 2001. And then I'm kind of ashamed to say I ignored this band when they were around because I was going to see like Warhead and Nightmare and Paintbox and all that kind of stuff at the time, and just totally was not interested in this band. And now I've kind of been listening to them. I'm like, man, I should have gone and seen this band live, because these CDs are amazing. Nagoya band, Adamax. This is their only full length. Adamax was lurking on the 13th floor. Answer Records 2010. I mean, it's the Accused, total Accused worship, but mixed in with like some Japanese hardcore, bit of like US hardcore, and then it's all horror based, so you get like these spooky samples between songs. So good. I've got their like CD EP as well up there, but they have a 7-inch and a split 5-inch as well. But man, have you heard this?
Oh yeah, I got that. Actually, I got that from Answer Records, like the store when it was
Okay,
around.
nice.
I forget the owner's name,
Me too.
um, but yeah, he was super nice. He actually gave that CD to me for like kind of as a freebie.
Wow, that was a lucky day, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah, that's
can't
a cool.
recommend this enough. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
it was funny. Oh man, guy called Eric Bauer has a channel called Defamation TV, and he did a video a couple of days ago about like American bands, I think mostly, that are kind of influenced by The Accused and kind of crossover and stuff. And I just commented, oh, I'd just like to mention Adamax from Nagoya. And he hadn't heard them before, and he kind of got back to me this morning. He's like, man, I've been missing out on this band. They're fucking amazing. Like, incredible. This is incredible stuff.
Yeah, it really is like Japanese Accused
Yeah,
is
yeah,
the
yeah,
easiest description.
yeah, yeah. It totally is.
But
But a little bit of Japanese hardcore, but mostly Accused. Amazing riffs,
yeah,
great vocalists, super energetic.
yeah, the kind of like horror movie samples on that record are
Yes,
interesting. I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but it's like,
I think it adds something to the
yeah, yeah,
record.
it's unique.
It's
It's like
unique.
a fun record.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great stuff. Highly recommended. Adamax. I wish I'd seen him at the time. My bad. I missed out. All right, Alex, what's your round 4?
Okay, we're getting kind of crusty in this round.
Okay.
And actually, I've got a discography CD for my next pick, which
Okay.
is a bit of a cheat, but I'll explain
Okay.
why I'm choosing that. And the band is SDS, Societic Death Slaughter. This
Nice.
is their past and future double CD discography. And the reason I chose
Mm.
this is because this actually has an unreleased 12-inch on it.
Does it really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's called well, they said it was to be called Into the Void,
Wow.
12-inch, 1992. And I kind of feel like people are not really aware of that, actually.
I actually didn't know that, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
such a beloved band,
Mm,
it's it's like an unreleased um,
mm.
thing on here, and it's great. They were from Gifu, I think,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Close to Nagoya.
it's
Yeah.
absolutely one of my favorite Japanese hardcore bands. To me, they're like perfect punk metal. Um, I mean, they kind of have two major periods, I think.
Mhm.
The first period from about 89 to 83, or 89 to 93. Um, it's basically like anti-sect out from the void worship, right? It's like
Yeah.
how many different ways can we repurpose the riffs from these two songs?
Right.
I love the anti-sect 7-inch. It's maybe my favorite UK hardcore EP. So I'm completely down with a band that just wants to rewrite the songs over and over. Um, the vocals are a lot more extreme than Anti-Sect, though. He has kind of this like almost like shrieking kind of like howling guttural delivery. It's kind of like something you might hear more in like death metal or something. The guitars I always thought were really interesting. They're very like low in the mix, but they're kind of this like this rumbling like fuzzy thing. Just it almost reminds me of like Winter into Darkness, you
Interesting.
know, that album. And I mean, they were kind of like Crust adjacent too. Although nowadays I guess they're thought of as kind of like Death Doom or whatever, but I think they kind of have like Crust roots. And I always wondered if SDS was like inspired by them or listening. Kind of sounds like it to me. But so yes, the unreleased 12-inch on this is kind of from the end of that first period of SDS. So that it's 1992.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, it comes after the split with Misery.
Okay.
So you know, if you ever wanted to hear like where would they have gone after that? Because you know, after that release, they kind of went on hiatus for a while.
Yeah.
And then they come back and start their second period in like 96 or so. And they kind of sound like a different band to me at that point. It's a little more like a little more rock, a little more straightforward.
Yeah.
They have this weird like sci-fi theme going on their releases. So it's like a totally different vibe. I know some people think that's the best period of SDS. Okay. But some people, well, you know, I respect it, but yeah, respectfully, I like early SDS a lot more.
Definitely. Like, you know, it's funny though, because like, you know, during that era, that kind of second phase, they came back, man, they were kind of hanging out with Rocky in Sweden and Asphalt. They kind of had a bit of an image change. It was a little bit rock and roll. Their shows were like getting a little bit more expensive. They were playing bigger places, like a lot of white leather. They were hanging out with like the Mad Three and Guitar Wolf and stuff. When they in that movie, I forget the name of the movie. There's a movie that has like Guitar Wolf in it. I think SDS are in that movie as well. And they were kind of looking to get a little bit bigger and a totally different vibe to the original sort of DIY crusty thing that they had before, right?
Yeah, they've got. Have you heard the split with Hong Kong
Hong
Knife?
Kong Knife, yeah.
Yeah, one of those songs, like right before this guitar solo, the singer he yells out like "Arg, rock and roll" or something like that, which is like I don't know. It's weird when you're listening to their earlier Crust stuff to think about like where they were trying to go later on. But yeah,
And then they, you know, they broke up and Delta was formed, right? Which is even more. They were hanging out rocking Sweden and Asphalt and kind of don't they have some? I mean, Asphalt got signed to a major label at that point. Rocking Sweden didn't, but they have some tracks on some major label like compilations and stuff. I feel like Delta would have probably gone that way as well if they'd have stuck around. But very interesting, like that those two different eras of their career, right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm kind of surprised they never put out that unreleased 12-inch on
Right?
you know release. I think there's a bootleg out there where it's that on one side and then the split with Misery on the other side, I think. I don't know. I don't have it, but
You know, I think maybe those songs just because it's like a double CD, people just like didn't notice, which is weird. If you're an SDS fan, you would notice, right, man? So I haven't heard these songs before, but
yeah,
that's the first time I've actually heard that. Like, I didn't know that. Wow. All right, my round 5 is going to be.
Oh hey.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Getting ahead of myself.
The next one for Crust round.
Okay.
This is a newer band.
Okay.
This is Ataraxia. Do you know these guys?
No.
So this is Contradiction and Reality, which is I think it's self-released 2017. And these guys are a newer band, like I think they formed in 2010 and they're from Mito Ibaraki.
Okay.
And they're a D-beat band, so kind of just like orthodox D-beat, very solid. There's nothing that is particularly like over the top about them. They kind of remind me of like Portland bands in that sense.
Okay.
You know, it's like you might say a little generic, but it's just very well done. I feel like there's not a whole lot of bands just doing like straight up D beat nowadays.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, they're younger guys. I mean, even though they've been around 15 years, that's, you know, in Japanese hardcore land, they're just
New band.
babies. Yeah. I particularly love the way the drums sound on this, just the way it's mixed. You know, if you have like a decent system, you can really feel those like D beats pounding in your chest. They're just like way up in the mix. They have a lot of body, just sound super cool on this CD in particular. They have a bunch of CDs.
Wow.
I think this one is my favorite one of the bunch. And they're like a CD only band, actually. They don't release vinyl,
Okay.
which I think is kind of interesting for this style of music.
Right.
But yeah, ataraxia, contradiction and
Nice.
reality.
All right, cool.
Yep.
Check them out. Yeah, you're right. Not so much D beat coming out of Japan these days. Yeah. All right. As I said already, my next one is going to be quite quick, I think. There's a lot of things to sort of just tie in together, so I can kind of describe everything in like one round, really, one go. Okay, everyone loves this women's liberation. I recently rebought the original CD. I had the bootleg album, but I had to rebuy this one. If anybody hasn't heard this, it's 4-band, all women bands on Selfish Records, late 80s, 90. I forget the actual date this came out, but 4 bands: Wormcast, Gaia, Gush, and Piss. Absolute classic. And I said I wasn't going to say it, but I'm going to say it. This is one that definitely needs an official vinyl reissue. It's crying out for it. Would love to have this on a double LP. But if somebody were to make, Women's Liberation Volume 2, I've got a couple of candidates to be included on that fictional compilation. It's funny, you were just saying about a new band that's it's 15, then they formed 15 years ago. I was like, I got a couple of like kind of contemporary bands, but actually both of these are almost like 20 years old now. But one of these bands is still active. So I'm going to do this like as a twofer, really. So I've got Carrie and their Unconscious CD on Discrete Records, which was, a label out of Nagoya putting out a lot of traditional Japanese hardcore on CD only in a lot of cases. Totally in the tradition of women's liberation. It's almost like you can sort of call, you could sort of say women's liberation core in a way. It's like all these women bands playing very lip cream and traditional Japanese hardcore, the old school 80s Japanese hardcore. Carrie, Unconscious. This is the one. It is an all-girl band, but for this particular recording, they had a guy come in and fill in on drums for them. Great stuff. Great vocalist, super energetic. And then I think I talked about this on the Free For All CD only Free For All. What you're listening to, I think, maybe Somei Yoshino, also on Discrete Records. This has 2 ex-members of the Gaia, the drummer and the bass player. Again, women's liberation core, old school Japanese hardcore from the 80s, lip cream. Again, Discrete Records put this one out. And I thought this band had broken up, but they've, right at the end of last year, they've just put out a split CD with this band called Max Overheat, who are like a long-running sort of B-grade, like traditional Japanese hardcore band who like wear a lot of leather and have like mullets and stuff. But these 2 bands put out a split CD, and it's like a pastiche of Motorhead and Girls' School's St. Valentine's Day Massacre. So I think each band does 3 or 4 of their own songs, and then they do 1 or 2 songs where both bands like play together, like that Motorhead thing. I really want to check that out. I'm going to buy that actually. It just came out at the end of last year. CD only thing. So there, Somei Yoshino and Carrie, 2 contemporary bands from 20 years ago, although this band is still active. So
yeah, Discrete had a lot of cool releases. That was a good label.
We talked about the label a lot in the 7-inch singles episode. bands like Raid and Sugar, and there's just and Human Despair. There's just so much good stuff. Yeah. All right, Alex, what's your round 5?
All right, this is the Okazaki round.
Oh,
I got
interesting. Okay.
Got 2 bands from Okazaki. First one is the Proletariat.
Okay, nice.
This is their first CD. It's on Blurred Records. Came out in 2013. And I cannot read the title for you, unfortunately. It's in Japanese, but
Me neither. That's very complicated kanji there.
yeah. So this band, I think pretty underrated. You don't hear people talk about them. And it's a little hard to describe them because they're sort of eclectic in a way. They're like self-identified crust. If you can read this here, it says never-ending Krusty's attack. And that gives you a bit of a sense. There is sort of a Crasher Crust vibe a little bit in terms of the way the guitar and drums sound. I mean, the riffs are clear and they have a bit of like a crossover feel at times, but the way they sound, they have like a layer of super noisy distortion on them, so it gives it kind of that noisy aspect. And the drums just have this really fat, impactful sound. And the way this CD is mixed, the cymbals, like they kind of bleed into the guitar distortion at times, so that it almost sounds like there's no cymbals. So it's like it just sounds like he's beating on this snare the whole time. It's like kind of a weird sound. But yeah, it's a cool album. The vocalist is probably maybe the most distinctive thing about it.
Okay.
He has a bit more of a high-pitched voice. So I'm thinking like kind of like the dude from Uniform Choice or Unity, like, in that register.
Wow.
So it's not like you don't hear a lot of grain in the voice, like he doesn't really have those harsh vocals.
Wow.
But kind of more of like almost, I don't want to say yelping, but he's got like a very quick delivery that's very kind of like Italian hardcore-esque a
Okay.
little bit.
Wow.
So very like quickly delivered vocals, a lot of syllables. Which is kind of a weird match with, this kind of like Crasher Crusty type music. But they're a cool band. I think the one issue is that this is like I think there's 19 songs on here.
Okay.
And it's over 40 minutes long.
Oh, okay.
So it's a bit long for this type of music, I would say. But if you're in the mood, it's the spot for sure. Have you ever heard the band?
No, I've seen their name on a lot of flyers, but I've never heard them. No.
Yeah. Yeah, they're still around and they're putting out releases and yes.
Cool.
So my next pick, also Okazaki. And did you ever have this book, Inferno Punk's photo book?
Yes, I've still got it. Yeah.
So this is MCR put this out.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's like 90s bands for the most part.
Yeah.
Nice photo book. And it's kind of dominated by bigger bands like Gloom is really featured in here, and Disclose and Life, etc. But there's kind of like a lot of more obscure bands in here that I never really heard back in the day. And I always kind of wondered, like, what is the deal with this band? And this is one of the bands that has a photo in there. I'm talking about Soothe.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Soothe, this came out in 2004. This is self-released, not on a label. I only found this recently, actually, and I think it was like dead stock in a distro. Had just been sitting in a distro for like 20 years or something like that. So I wasn't quite sure what to expect. It sounds, so they've got a female vocalist, and it's like very fast, and it's like fast, tightly wound, very focused sound. Not a lot of like bass frequencies, so it's kind of like, it actually reminds me a lot of Sedition or those kind of bands.
Right.
They have a very similar energy, I would say. Another band that came to mind was like Harem Scarum, you know, the old Portland
Yep.
band. Kind of sounds a little like that. You know, another band with a female vocalist. Um, I think you can kind of see in the artwork it has a bit of that like tribal thing
Yeah.
going on. Like
Yep.
the sedition influence is probably in the artwork as well.
Alex, wasn't that band like pre-acute? Is there a connection
Yeah,
with
exactly. Yes.
that? Okay, and that because they're from Okazaki too, right? So
Yes.
yeah.
So yeah, I can't remember what members they have in
Me
common,
neither,
but
but
there's
yeah,
definitely a connection there.
right.
Yes. I feel like Japanese people really love sedition.
Yeah.
Is that a thing over
Yes,
there?
it's a thing.
'Cause
Yeah.
yeah, last time I went to Japan, I went to a disc union and there was like literally like 10 copies of the used 10 used copies of the Sedition discography all next to each other. And like you would never see that in any other CD store in the
I mean, that
world.
people like them or don't like them. I don't know. It's like,
Yeah. Well, you know what? MCR they reissued the discography, so I'm
yeah,
guessing people traded in the old
yeah, and you know,
CD for the
MCR
new one.
doesn't do proper amounts of stuff too. They don't like do 200 or 300. So I
Yeah,
think he probably still has that new in the distro. I want to say, but yeah,
right.
that's a great pick. Right, round 6, last round. Body parts is my theme for the last round. Totally accidental, and I realized it matched. So I'm gonna go back to Sapporo. Hey, this is the first HG Fact release we've had, which is kind of amazing. We haven't had an HG Fact release yet, I don't think.
The Assault CD I showed was
Yes,
HD
there you
Effect,
go. Okay,
but
so the
I think
second
that's the only one.
HG
Yeah.
Fact release. I'm not really a grindcore, power violence kind of a person, but man, I saw this band once and they made a huge impression on me. I'm talking about this band, Knucklehead.
Oh yeah.
Mure kara nogare mata mure no naka. Escape from the herd, then join the herd. 11 songs, 14 minutes. It's like power violence played by guys from the Japanese hardcore scene. I don't know. This has like just a vibe to it that is not present in like normal grindcore. It still has like some of those like we were talking about that masculine thing. It still has like, you know, like chanted choruses and some of the riffs in it are kind of very Japanese hardcore. The vocalist is fucking ferocious. I saw them live once and man, I can still remember it. It must have been about like 19 around this time, like 98, 99. I saw them at this big event in Osaka. Man, the singer was so menacing. They were so powerful. I can't recommend this band enough if you're into like grindcore or power violence. Absolutely incredible. You're a fan, Alex? It looks like
Oh yeah.
you're on board with this. Yeah, man.
That CD is crazy. It's almost like too intense.
It
You know what
is
I mean?
right. It's the build up, the intro, like the riffs in that song. It's like, man, it's so powerful and intense. But I think it's just this perfect storm of guys from the Japanese, you know, punk scene, traditional Japanese punk hardcore scene, doing like I don't even know if it was intentionally meant to be like grindcore or it just kind of came out that way. It's almost like just like Japanese hardcore sped up. But you know, like I said, I'm not usually I'm not too much of a grindcore person, but this is like something else. This CD, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, that's a great pick. It's not like straightforward. It's not like straight up grind, like you said. It's definitely,
No,
yeah, it's a
it,
little hard to
it
categorize.
is. It's got some of those like traditional Japanese hardcore dynamics, and the band were all like that baggy, you know, camo pants, mohawks, you know, flip flops. They just looked like a traditional Japanese hardcore band. All right, my last pick is also not a grindcore band. This is a traditional Japanese hardcore band. This might be an obscure one. Came out in 2002. It's a self-released thing. It's Backbone. They stole the really famous photo of the starving child with the vulture, but then it's like really badly pixelated, and they kind of like superimposed an image of the singer over it, so like he's the most important person in the photo kind of thing. But yeah, this CD, I should have put this earlier because it's fucking almost impossible to pronounce. I'm gonna try it. Here we go. Yooini, Hitonoini, Kussuruna, Onoreno, Shinnenni, Chuujitudeare is the title of this CD, which roughly translates to, in the 8th place, be faithful to your own depths, bowing to the name of others. I think that might be like a Buddhist thing. I don't know. But yeah, this is like a band that's kind of like Padlock, or one of those kind of like third wave traditional Japanese hardcore bands. But even though they were from Osaka, like they were in a different scene. Like they never played with Warhead and Nightmare. You know that band Crusty High Charge?
Mhm.
They were sort of in a sort of separate scene with them. It's like there's a different vibe to that scene. There's a bunch of other bands too. And I feel like there was a little bit of an overlap with like the Samurai Spirit Skinheads scene with this band. You know, I remember going to see them live a couple of times, and there was a lot of the Kyokujitsuki, you know, the Japanese military flag, that one. A lot of dudes like wearing that on their belts, and a few of those hanging up. So I don't know. I never really heard any sort of nationalist commentary from the stage with this band, but there was definitely some sort of overlap with that scene back in the early 2000s. But nevertheless, if you're into sort of traditional Japanese hardcore in the Padlock vein, it's a kind of obscure one to check out. They have another CD too after this. Backbone.
Cool. I don't know that one. What year did that come out? Do you
It's
know?
2002, and it's like self-released. They have another like mini CD after this. Kind of a hard band to Google. There's another Japanese band called Backbone as well, and there's a bunch of other bands called Backbone. So, yeah.
Yeah, like 2002 is the era of the pixelated CD art.
I mean, this is like, it doesn't show up too well on camera, man. It's so badly done. I mean, you know, they probably stole this image off the internet, lowest pixelated, you know, the lowest quality JPEG in 2002, and then, you know, photocopied it on a fax machine or something, and then like try to superimpose the singer's face on the side. It's a mess, absolute mess. But yeah, it was 2002. Simpler days, simpler times.
There's a lot of those. I was considering Crossface for this, and they have a really poorly, you know, pixelated, terrible cover art situation going on also. So
I was going to pick a Crossface CD tonight, but I feel like I've kind of talked about them a lot before, so I didn't pick one today. But all right, possibly the last round. Maybe you have the bonus round too, right? Maybe.
this is the last round for me.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
this will be my bonus round, I guess.
Okay.
Because these are releases that have CDs, but technically cassette version as well.
Okay.
Simply no vinyl.
Okay.
So the first one, this is a newer band, Deformed Existence.
Okay, I've seen their name around on flyers. I think they played
Yes.
with Frampton and stuff a bit in Osaka, I think.
Yes, Hate with Patriotism, the Demos album. So
That
you
the Demos album is lifted directly from the Doom Demos album with this up. There you go. There you go.
yeah, so you know, if you were wondering what this sounds like, this kind of answers your question a little bit. It's obviously, you know, a tribute to Doom.
With the same like grammatical error in the title as well. It's just like
Yes, very much like 90s crustcore, hiatus, Doom, excrement of war type sound, but it isn't just a complete ripoff. There is something unique about them. It's the guitar sound on this is really weird.
Oh yeah.
It's I don't even know how to describe it. It has kind of like an oscillating effect, like a flanger or a
Oh wow.
phaser or something going on. Sounds like you're in a wind tunnel, and it's
Oh,
like almost a little psychedelic if you listen
okay,
on
cool.
headphones or something. But it works well with the music. It's just very well done. Just like kind of a unique sound. Yeah, one of the newer bands that I've
cool.
done.
Nice.
And I'm not sure, I think they're from Niigata, I want to say, but I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not sure either. I know they've definitely been to Osaka a couple of times. That's all I know. But yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, and yes, the tape version is on Doomed to Extinction, I think is the name.
Okay.
So yes, if you like tapes, do you mess with tapes, Mike?
Not really, not so much. No.
Yeah, I'm not so much a fan either. So
No.
all
I don't
right,
think it's going to be a tape episode of this series. But let's put it that way.
yes,
It could be though. If someone wants to help me out with it, it could happen. But yeah, I've got nothing. Really.
Yep, same here. So my last pick is it's actually the only band I've picked, I think, where you could sing along to their songs. I know we've been spending Loud Night, I guess you could say. This is my only kind of more traditional melodic pick.
Cool.
And I'm talking about classic band Cobra. This is Cobra's second album. It's called Oi Oi Oi. Came out in 1990. This is like straight up major label punk.
Yes.
It's on Pony Canyon.
Yep.
And this is an amazing album, I think. I feel like people don't talk about Cobra too much nowadays. They were one of the first Japanese punk bands I heard because I think I had a bootleg of Hardcore Unlawful Assembly. And then I had this this bootleg CD that I got very early on. It's called Cobra Greatest Hits.
Wow.
So, I always liked them a lot. Their songs are like really anthemic, very melodic. And I'd say the songs on this just remind me a lot of DOA. Actually, DOA is Something Better Change.
Really?
So, yeah. I mean, there are actually parts in this that remind me of like they almost could have been lifted from that album. Of course, that album itself is very like Clash influenced. But
True.
yeah, DOA, Clash, if you like those bands, I mean, Cobra does it as well as anybody. I was gonna say, like, I only got this maybe like last year, actually. And I was listening to it and I was like, man, these songs are so catchy. It's like I've been listening to them my entire life. Like they're that
Wow.
immediate and that good.
I
But
gotta
then
check this out. I gotta get this. I've not
I
heard it.
realized that the songs were on this, so that's why I knew them.
Okay.
But beyond that, it is just really good melodic songwriting. I think their lineup on this, they had people from Laugh-In Nose.
Yeah,
So
the guy on the left, man, I'm spacing on his name. Yeah, the guy with he's kind of been in all the bands. He's been in SA,
yeah,
Laughing Nose,
but I
and
was thinking,
Cobra, and like City Indian, I think, as well. Was that
yeah,
Belly? There's some crossover with Cobra with City Indian as well.
yeah, I was trying to tease out the lineage of all the shared members and stuff, and it's a little confusing, but I think that the guitarist on here was from Laugh-In Nose,
Yeah,
but then he was actually in the initial lineup of Cobra, so he's like an original Cobra member that came back to
right.
Cobra
Okay.
or something like that.
Very interesting. They kind of went from hardcore and lawful assembly to like playing like at Budokan in front of like 5,000 screaming schoolgirls. You've seen the footage, right, on YouTube of like them on the massive stage and like him like jumping off the tram riser like this with like the Japanese flag behind them and stuff. Man, they made a lot of money, and then like just like Gas Tank, they were there and then they were gone in like two years. That people have forgotten about them, but they had their kind of moment of glory playing in arenas to screaming schoolgirls and stuff. And then like Laughing Nose, a Laughing Nose were huge too, but not quite as big as Cobra, I want to say. But the thing about Laughing Nose is they kind of broke up and then they kept putting out albums all through the 90s and the 2000s. And I don't know if you've checked out all those like late era Laughing Nose records, but there's a lot of great like late period like Laughing Nose records albums too. So
Yeah, I've checked out some of the 90s ones, but Yeah, solid stuff.
Yeah. There we have it.
Yeah,
That's a pretty great way to end the show. We had some great picks. I think we covered like a lot of different bits, some more well-known stuff, some more obscure stuff, some traditional stuff, some crust, some grindcore, some oi. But we covered a lot of ground, which is good. I didn't want it to be all like just traditional Japanese hardcore. So everyone, thanks for watching. Let us know some of your favorites down in the comments. I think I'm going to leave some links, some of the stuff in the video description. So if you want to come, go and check out some of these bands, go ahead and check them out. I think this is going to be the last of this series of Japanese hardcore for a while, unless someone wants to come on and do a tape version with me and help me out with that. But thanks for watching. I'm not sure when this video is going up, but thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time. And thanks, Alex. Me and Alex are going to carry on talking for a bit after we start recording. But cheers, everyone. Take it easy.